Steve Garcia against Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Featherweight bout, plus 190 for the Steve the Mean Machine Garcia, minus 190 for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Over under 2.5 rounds, plus 138 for the over, minus 138 for the under. Watch out for the line movement on this one. It's going to be the 50th fight for Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. I say that jokingly because, of course, he was not involved, but he was in the fight that is currently still under investigation. So keep an eye on that one. Steve Garcia, an insanely dominant win in his last time out against Chase Hooper, who just really made him look like he didn't belong anywhere near an octagon in that fight. That was his first fight at 145. Steve Garcia, that was his first fight at 145, and knocked him out in 30 or 92 seconds. So, and knocked him down 3 times, like just completely obliterated him. Made Chase Hooper probably have to go back to the drawing board and work on a lot of stuff. But on the feet, man, like Steve, he's got great hands. He's got really good hands. That left hand, he was just touching Chase Hooper up. The only knock on him is like he can get cracked a couple times too. He got cracked against Mahashate at UFC 275, and he lost a decision against Luis Pena, who pretty much just controlled him for a good amount of time. Those are his 2 losses in the UFC. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke, honestly, like, I'm not like super impressed by him. That's why I'm just trying to get myself to see this line, and I just don't see it. Like, maybe it's the experience, but like, is it really experience? Because he has 4 UFC fights, and his wins are Derek Minner, which was like a fluke fight. It really wasn't a fight. TJ Brown and Sean Soriano. Those are his wins in the UFC. And then he's got a bunch of fights that just, who really knows like what they really are. It's going to be his 50th career pro fight, but I don't put too much stock into that. I like Steve Garcia as a dog here. I think if it's on the feet, he can put a beating on Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. I mean, he's an aggressive dude, and I like a guy that's going to be aggressive, especially if you're putting dog money on him. He's going to go for the finish. He's going to be aggressive on the feet. He's going to push a pace. He's got 100% takedown defense as well, and that's probably the path that Nuerdanbieke is going to want to go to in this one, because I don't see it going too well for him if they're just standing. He's got a 6-inch reach advantage, Steve Garcia does. And as a dog, I'm going to have to play it sometime. I mean, in some sort of fashion, I'm going to have to play Steve Garcia as a dog. What do you think?
No, I'm with you, because the one knock I have on Nuerdanbieke is that, he's so powerful. Like, you can see it. Like, he's stocky, he's strong. And when he does crack, I mean, he can strike pretty well, but he's so hesitant on the feet. I mean, he only lands just over 2 significant strikes per minute. And he absorbs nearly 3. So he's got a negative striking differential. I mean, he just looks a little like stuck in the mud almost at times when he's striking with guys. Like, he's not fully confident in his skill set on the feet, but he does, excel when he gets takedowns and can get fights to the ground. He doesn't really, have a bunch of sub attempts. I don't know if he has any submission attempts in the UFC, but he does average nearly 3 takedowns a fight, and he just uses that wrestling and strength to get guys down. But I mean, Steve Garcia is a strong dude who's going to be, I mean, you'll see it in the octagon. He's going to be quite a bit, bigger than Shayilan Nuerdanbieke here. And on the feet, I think Garcia could just get off on him with volume in general. I think, if this thing does stay up against the cage in the clinch, it's going to be Garcia landing some good shots and just kind of overwhelming Nuerdanbieke here. And Nuerdanbieke just trying to get the takedowns. And like you said, Steve Garcia's got 100% takedown defense, and he averages a couple himself as well. So he's no slouch in that department at all. Steve Garcia too on the feet, he averages 2.52 significant strikes absorbed, which is pretty low for a guy who lands over 5. So that's good numbers that should make you a little confident too, being this big of a dog. I actually like that he's southpaw in this. So it's not like Nuerdanbieke's going to be out there chewing up that front leg or by any means too, which is what would scare me in this fight. So yeah, man, I think Garcia's got a big chance to cash here as a live dog. I like him a lot, actually. And Nuerdanbieke too. He has a lot of knockouts, and just not at this level, not at the UFC level. And you never know who he was fighting back in the day where he racked up these 39 wins.
Yeah, looking back on that Chase Super line, I'll always look at that line and just laugh. Like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. I think he was one of the bigger favorites on that card and just looked completely terrible.
Yep.